Welcome to the Quarterly Planning Masterclass. Super excited to have you here and excited to be able to walk you through my quarterly planning method and to help give you clarity, focus, and ultimately the consistency around everything that it is that you are working on inside of your life or business. Now, before you go on from this point, whether you've watched previous trainings from me inside of my inner circle or you have, stumbled across some of my free content on social media or other free value, I want to let you know that this is catered to more so the business owner, the entrepreneur that is looking to scale their life, grow their business, whatever aspect it might be that is trying to prioritize. But if you are somebody that's maybe in school, maybe working a 9 to 5 job, but has your own personal goals that you are really looking to prioritize, this will absolutely help you plan those out. So I don't want you to just get lost when we're talking about business or when we're talking about how you can apply this in your life. I want you to understand that you will be able to benefit from this as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. Brace yourselves, all right, because this is going to be a little bit of a longer training, but I promise you it is going to walk you through exactly what you need to do to be able to make these next 90 days arguably the best 90 days if you have never planned before or you're maybe just feeling stuck. All right, so welcome again to the Quarterly Planning Masterclass. Today we are going to map out your next 90 days to drive focus, consistent, and measurable growth in your business and life. Now, these are going to be the three things that you're going to be able to take away from this Quarterly Planning Masterclass. How to plan not only your quarter, but how to actually break it down into monthly targets and weekly action items. We're not going to just discuss here, hey, what are your top 3 goals for the quarters? Hey, what are the non-negotiables that you need to do? But instead, how we can go ahead and grow and build on these different habits to most importantly make sure we stay on with our timelines and to make sure that we are actually moving the needle forward. The second thing is why the 90-day planning is so effective. And that's actually going to be one of the first things that we're going to start off with on the next few slides here. And then the third and final thing is a tangible deliverable, something you're actually going to get access to other than this training that you can utilize. You could end this video right now and you'll be able to get access to it. But obviously, I hope you continue to watch through this. But you're going to get your very own 90-day performance tracker that's going to come with quarterly planning spreadsheet, that's going to come with your yearly goals tracking. It's going to come with your 3-month tracking of your non-negotiables and everything else that you're going to need to ultimately optimize your next 90 days. So as we go through, why does quarterly planning truly matter? Why is it going to make such a big difference inside of your life if you have never planned this way before? The most standard planning is daily planning, right? People come, they start their day and it's, hey, where's my long to-do list, right? And then obviously that long to-do list flows into the next week and into the next day and into the next month. And next thing you know, you find yourself a month from now having the same stuff on that list that you had a month ago, 2 weeks ago, right? Now, but we're not actually getting the things done that 1, we set out for, 2, we said we were going to do. So let's go ahead and change that. 90 days equals the optimal focus window. If you hear me talk about planning, daily planning, which we're going to do inside of this masterclass, you're going to hear me say that 90-minute windows are the most effective time frames inside of your day. Okay, now there's obviously some nuances around that and starting off for beginners and building up to that focus amount of time because 90 minutes can be a lot for people to be able to focus, but 90 days equals an optimal focus window. It's not too far out where we're saying, hey, this is what I want to get done this year and we think we have all year, so we push things off. It allows us to kind of have that condensed time frame and to help hold us accountable. The psychology of momentum, right, equals shorter targets creates faster wins. I want you to think, just like I talked about that yearly time frame, I want you to think about creating or doing 1 year of work or 1 year of your goals, but in a single quarter. So you're essentially living out 4 years in 1 complete year, right? What I mean by that is what you've been able to do in a year in previous time frames, whether it was last year or 2 years or maybe 3 years ago, you felt like you were acting at your best. You're now going to be able to do in only 3 months. So every 3 months, it's almost like you've just lived out a year from the past, right? Getting more done than you ever have before, okay? all elite businesses plan quarterly. All right. A lot of businesses are planning out 5-year visions, 3-year plans, 1 year, planning. And then there's also the quarterly that helps hold them on track, helps keep everybody into the same mission and vision to make sure that things are moving in the right direction. And the last final thing, just kind of a quote here is if it is not on paper, it's not real. We all have these things in our mind that we want to get done, whether it's a ton of different business ideas, whether it's a ton of different strategies, a ton of different things that we think need to get done, but we just can't prioritize. If we cannot put it on paper or put it into our calendar, it is not real. We have to be able to put it down so that we can actually hold ourselves to it. And we're going to teach you exactly how to hold yourself accountable to everything that you are trying to accomplish. Now, common mistakes that people make. This is the most important. It's so easy to talk about, go do this, and I can teach you 20 different methods, 10 different tactics, or whatever it might be. But if we don't know what to avoid or the common mistakes, we're going to keep finding ourselves in that same place over and over again, right? So I call these almost the blind spots. When we create the perfect plan for you, the perfect quarterly plan, how do we keep an eye in our rearview mirror of those different things that are going to pop up that are mainly going to try and hold us back? The first thing is setting too many goals. When we are focused on too many things, we get scattered. It's so tough to water all of our big goals, right? So we need to be able to focus on just the key important ones, especially as that we know, hey, they can change quarter to quarter. They can change month to month. We don't need to say, hey, this whole year I'm focused on A. This whole year I'm focused on B. We need to understand that things shift and that is okay. All right. So we don't need to try to do everything right here and right now. Number 2 is not measuring progress. Too many people make their plan or think of their plan and then they just go and go and go and go without actually reflecting and measuring progress. So that leads them to either A, burning out, or 2, continuing to do the same thing over and over and over again without ever being able to make the progress that they are truly after or truly capable of. Now, number 3, no clear action breakdown. They understand where they want to go. They understand how they want to get there, but they don't understand everything that needs to go into that, or at least the most important things that need to get done to reveal or expose the next steps for them. So there's no clear actions on what is actually going to move them forward. So they're acting at more of a surface level instead of truly expanding in their mind, in their business, and inside of their life. Number 4 is ignoring past data, right? Operating blindly, doing the same thing over and over again, sending the same outreach, message, posting the same content that's gotten you the same results, having the same sales call or sales tactics that are not leading you to the growth and to the profits that you are searching for. All right. And number 5, not scheduling regular reviews. Too often, people make the plan, which is fun. It's easy. It's easy to think about the top things you want to do. It's easy to think about all the stuff that you want to get done. But what's not easy is prioritizing 30 minutes on a Sunday to be able to review and reflect, hey, what is working in my life right now? What is working in my business right now? What is working in my planning method? Because yes, we're talking about a quarterly planning, method here, and this is a masterclass to make sure you have everything you need, but that does not mean that the first time you plan out your quarter, you are going to get everything done. We have to be able to reflect, we have to be able to grow, and we have to be able to make the changes necessary so that every single month, every single quarter, we get more and more efficient with our planning to ultimately help us get closer and closer to our goals. Now, this is the starting ground, okay? Whether you pause this video, whether you plan to write down the action items and then come back to them at a later time, this is the start. We have to review our, and again, whether you have data or whether you don't at this point, we have to be able to review our last month or at least our last quarter, okay? And that's reviewing revenue, reviewing sales, all right? That's reviewing client growth, retention, Are people canceling? Are people, staying for 2 to 3 months when you want to get them to stay 7 to 8 months? Are people signing on for $100 when you want to be signing them up for $1,000? Are you closing at a 15 to 20% rate when you want to be selling at or closing at a 50% call rate, right? So we have to be able to understand that data. Also understanding, hey, what key projects have recently been completed, right? A lot of times the most common thing that I hear from entrepreneurs, especially solopreneurs, right? People that are operating on their own inside of their business, is they're busy but not very productive. They're going through their days, they're going through their schedule, they're going through their calls, but then they're ending the day wondering, hey, what did I actually do? What did I actually accomplish? How have I actually grown in the last week or over the last month? So we need to understand and think back, what are some of the major things you've been working on? And if you haven't, perfect, right? Because now it's time to really refocus, really re-lock in so that we could start working on key projects that are going to help us move our life and our business, forward. And then the final simple questions, but the most overlooked ones, is what worked and what didn't. Okay, we need to know from scheduling to your staff, right, or your hires or your VAs or whoever it is that's working from you, from your content, from your own personal performance, whether it's working out, whether it's sleeping, whether it's your routines. We need to be able to go in detail. Now, if you don't know any of that, or if you need some more support around all of that, do not worry, because you're in the right place. You don't have to click on another video. You don't have to sign up for anything else. We're going to cover all of that right here, right now for you. Now, for us, and as we kind of, kick this off here, is going to be our key opportunities, right? We want to identify our biggest opportunities. So there's three kind of things for you to think about. The first one is what's currently working in your niche. And that's more so marketing, more so sales, more so lead gen, right? Is it, guides? Is it training videos? Is it a certain type of content? Is it, is it an offer, right? A lot of times I feel like the newest wave has been a lot more subscription models, that people have been going to, especially in the coaching space, but it all depends on what space you're in, So thinking about what's currently working inside of your niche. The next thing is to think about gaps in your systems or processes. Maybe something that you're doing over and over again. Something that's maybe taking a lot of your time, right? Holding you back from doing what you really, really want. Whether that's not having a system for your content, whether it's not having a system for your, booking calls, whether it's not having a system or automations for certain things that you were doing over and over again, inside of your business. And then the next one is your personal performance review. Okay, so that's energy, that's focus, that's leadership, that's, your own exercise, right? That is how you are showing up in your day to day, whether it's inside of the business or whether it's in your life, right? Waking up and having a healthy breakfast. The sun is out and going for a walk, prioritizing your workouts even when you're stressed inside of your business. Whatever that might be, we need to be able to identify those opportunities so that you going through this whole masterclass can get immediate and instant, kind of feedback and growth, right? You're not here to just kind of move through the motions. You're here to see results, and that's what I want to help you, get. Now, I want to give you a heads up, right? You're watching these videos, you're seeing the slides, you're seeing us go through this. Where is the action items, right? Obviously, we talked about the quarterly review. That's something that you could have already done on your own. Don't wait for permission from me. But now we're going to get a little bit more into the planning stuff. Don't worry, if there's something that I want you to do or something that you should be doing, I will let you know, hey, this is the time that you should start to think about this. Hey, this is something you definitely want to come back to, so get your notebook out. If you don't already have one, you definitely should have one by your side, whether you want to pause this or not. So these next few slides are going to go into a little bit more of the goal setting, right? Picking out our top goals. It's also going to talk about how do we break these goals down. So I'm going to go over you daily planning, what your focus should be on. I'm going to go over weekly planning, how we should break down those goals and those action items. I'm going to break down monthly planning, which is going to go over, hey, what are those items look like? So they're all different in their own way. It's not just, oh, well, I said I want to do this quarter, so then this month I'm going to do it, and then this week I'm going to make sure every day I'm doing this, and then on a daily basis it's not that simple, it's not that easy. Each metric, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, whatever it might be, has a different format of how we want to follow it and how we want to structure it. Okay, so to start is the goal setting framework. It's easy to think about outcome goals, right? Oh, I want to get to 1,000 subscribers. Oh, I want to get to $5,000. Oh, I want to get to 160 clients. Oh, I want to get to, like, that's the easy stuff. But the main things we need to think about are the processes or the systems or the main things that we need to build out that are going to allow for us to make those outcome goals more simple. Right. And I started off by saying, oh, I want to get, 1,000 subscribers. Wow, great. Right. That's a great outcome goal. But what is a process that's going to allow us to make that more efficient? Whether it's, a thumbnail that just kind of, copy and paste and we fully customize it after each video? Is it a script writing process that you go through that allows you to make sure you have your hook, you make sure you have links, make sure that you have, different pictures popping up or whatever else it might be, okay? So an outcome goal, again, like I've already mentioned, is a measurable result. Okay, that's going to be more so a specific number. A process goal is more so the actions that you're going to take. Okay, those are going to be maybe daily non-negotiables. Those are going to be maybe things that you're doing on a weekly basis or a daily basis. But then the third one, as you see here being highlighted, is identity goals. It's not so much about just showing up and doing the work. It's about who you need to become. A lot of people are, oh, I'll post content when, I get my first client. Oh, I'll go live when I'm, making $10,000 a month. Oh, I'll do this when. No. We need to start doing that now. One, because all of those things are going to lead to our first client, going to lead to our first sale, going to lead to our, our growth that we're after. And so we need to be able to look in the mirror and say, who do we need to become to show up this way, to get a high ticket client? How do I need to carry myself? How do I need to dress? How do I need to look? How do I need to be able to speak or communicate so that when my audience sees my content or my training, they're saying, damn, I need Chris in my corner. Damn, I want Chris to be able to support me because I see his drive. I see his ambition, right? If I'm running this quarterly training, masterclass, and I'm just like, and then when you guys would plan, you guys should probably, if I'm carrying it like that, one, you're probably gonna be like, all right, I can't watch this anymore. Chris, thanks for the free value, but you were better off, charging me $5 on this or me paying you guys to watch it because you're so bored. You guys want to make sure that you are getting exactly what you signed up for, and so that comes from me getting prepped for this call so that every slide I already know what's going. And that comes from my preparation, my planning, and also the things that I've done over the last 3 to 5 to 7 years to put myself in a spot right now where I'm working with more entrepreneurs, working with more business owners, and being able to help more individuals, accomplish their goals and become the person that they need to be, but also that they're striving and want to be. Okay, so some examples here for an outcome goal, 10K revenue, right? We've kind of already went over that. Processes, would be a little bit more like booking calls, right? 20 sales calls, 30 new leads, right? These are numbers that we're striving for. These are key things, key metrics that we could hold ourselves to. And then identity, right? Consistent, disciplined leader, right? If I'm here being the coach or if I'm here talking about my quarterly planning and let's say this was a live presentation and somebody says, hey, Chris, can you show us what your quarterly plan looks like? And now I go to share my screen or I'm like, I actually don't have anything to show you because I don't quarterly plan. Well, then why the hell are you going to be motivated to, right? I want people to call me out and say, hey, well, Chris, you're talking about posting content, but when I go on your Instagram, I don't see any posts up. Ah, well, damn, you got me. right? I don't want to be that way. I want to lead by example. I want to lead and be, especially with, the identity goal here. I want to be consistent. I want to be disciplined, so that obviously it's an invitation to come on this journey, with me to help you accomplish, your goals. Now, you're going to see this slide here twice, okay? We're going to revisit this the second time we revisit this slide, and I know this because I've planned, because I've ran through this before, is we're then going to address some of the action items from it, and the next time I actually show you this slide, we're going to show you the 90-day tracker that you are going to get access to, or maybe you've already clicked on it and looked at it, but hopefully you're not getting distracted, okay? Do not get distracted. So I'm just going to run through this real quick. Build your 90-day roadmap, right? We're going to go over a visual layout of month one, month two, month three. What are those things going to look like? What are those project deadlines? What are the action items? What are the goals that we have, right? If we have our big non-negotiable for a quarter, right? Hey, I want to, relaunch my program. Hey, I want to launch my program for the first time. Hey, I want to release a new product. Hey, I want to set up all my automations, whatever that might be. Now we could go ahead and break it down for month one. I gotta set up all my email sequences. Month two, I gotta set up, my DM outreach. Month three, I gotta set up all of my client onboarding. This way, at the end of those 3 months, next thing you know, clients are rolling through your process and you're spending maybe an hour on that process when you used to maybe spend 10 hours a week, So that's what we're going to be able to identify, all right? We're also going to plan out, and again, you don't have to do anything with this now. You're going to plan out for one personal milestone, kind of reward, and that'll kind of go with your big non-negotiable. What is it that you truly want to accomplish, right? At the end of these 90 days, what would you absolutely be stoked at, where it's like, I am so damn happy I stuck with this. I am so damn happy that I got this done because X, right? Because I was able to do this. So, SMART goals. I'm going through this very quick, all right, because I'm sure if you have been in the personal growth space for a while, you've probably seen this a ton of times. Now, I obviously respect those that are just getting started, so that's why this is in here, all right, but I'm figuring that 99% of my audience that is watching this has already heard of SMART goals at one point in time, so I'm going to keep this fairly brief, but also keep it fairly simple. Specific, right? SMART. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time bound. Okay, specific is making sure your goal is clear and detailed. And we have an example at the bottom here that you can read right now, but I'll also get to in a moment. Measurable, quantifiable to track progress. We want to be able to know the numbers. What is going to help me achieve? What is going to help me measure this goal so that I know whether I'm on track or I am way, way, way off from my marks? Achievable, making sure it's realistic, but challenging. We don't want it to be something that we know 10 out of 10 times we're going to achieve, but we want it to be something where I know, hey, if I really challenge myself, if I'm really showing up the way that I need to or the way I want to, I know I can strive or at least get close to this goal, right? It's realistic. It's not going from, hey, I make $100 a month right now, to saying, Chris, with this quarterly plan, I'm going for $50K a month. No. We got to be a little bit more realistic. We got to be able to understand where we are at right now. One of the main things and the main problems I see is we have this number in our mind for business owners where it's like $1 million a year, and people get in, and until they get to that number, they're unsuccessful. They're held back. They're not good enough, and it holds them back mentally, physically, and in their business because they're so set on that. You need to know, what do you need? Right? And that's where being realistic, being specific really comes into play, right? And that also leads us to the R, relevant, aligned with your vision. You're not saying, hey, I want to make $1 million because so-and-so said that they made it. You're not saying that you want to have 100 clients because so-and-so had 100 clients. You're understanding exactly what you want, what your vision is, and the type of impact that you are after. All right? And now, the last thing. Just got to get a sip here. Is time bound, okay? Time bound, making sure that we have a deadline to be able to follow, a deadline to hold ourselves to. All right, to keep us on track. Because the same way I talked about quarterly planning is a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to do this year. And now they could wait 6 months and then get started in 6 months and they're still on track. But if we could think about it in terms of a quarter, now when we have that deadline, every month that passes and we're getting closer, it's like, hey, I got to get on track. Hey, I got to get going with this, right? And an example here is, instead of I want to grow my business, oh wow, that's a good goal, I have that goal too, right? Is say I will generate 10K in monthly revenue by December 31st by acquiring 3 new clients per month. Now the only reason I could say by acquiring 3 new clients is if I understand what those 3 clients look like, right? If those 3 new clients comes out to $150 that I'm making, $50 a client, I'm probably not going to able to acquire or to be able to generate 10K in monthly revenue. I need to be able to understand, hey, in order for me to get to 10K, I got to be selling with 3 clients coming on, I got to sell a $1,500 a month package. I got to be selling a 3K offer. I got to be selling a, 10K offer for, obviously that wouldn't make sense with 3 clients, right? But maybe it would if they were paying, a 10K client paying $2,500 a month, right? For 3 months or whatever it might be, right? We have to understand the numbers. We have to understand our business. We have to understand every aspect that is going into it. Because so often I see people that are saying, hey, I want to generate 10K a month. That's like the first milestone, right? For entrepreneurs, for business owners, the first substantial one. And so for us saying, hey, I will generate 10K in monthly revenue, meanwhile we're selling, and I was in this trap too, we're selling an $8 product. How many people am I going to need? I would need to be selling 8,000 people plus, right? 10,000 people plus to be able to accomplish that goal. Meanwhile, I'm getting 3 to 5 new clients, a month. I'm going to accomplish that goal in maybe 12 years, whatever the heck it might be. All right. If not longer, if there's no growth. So we need to be able to understand what it is that we're truly selling to allow us to know, hey, am I actually on track for this goal? Or am I better off just getting my other job and, being they call them an entrepreneur, right? An entrepreneur working for somebody else, so that they can, help them grow their business, right? But they have the more stability of the income. Okay, we have to know what it is that we're trying to accomplish. Now, like I mentioned, we were going to go through the more strategic planning, okay, breaking down the daily, the weekly, monthly. This is kind of the start of that, all right? We need to break down the big picture. And hopefully you've already thought about this. Hopefully you're already working towards some goals. But we need to break each goal into monthly targets, okay? Monthly targets, weekly action steps, and daily focus points. Now, again, you don't have to do anything just yet. Up until this point, you're really just watching this, okay? But right about now, in a few slides, we're going to get into some more action items so you could really start designing your quarterly plan. What I will say though is, if you want at this point, if you want to pause this video or start to think about it, honestly, I would challenge you, you know what, that's what we're going to do. Right now, without thinking about it, get your pen in your hand. You cannot think, you cannot pause this video, okay? I do not want you thinking about the perfect plan. I do not want you thinking about the perfect number. I want you, whatever comes to mind after I say this, to just write this down. If you do not have a pen or paper, get one right now. Do not cheat. Do not cheat. Right now, I want you to write down, pause it if you don't got a pen or paper. I want you to write down 3 to 4, not 5, 3 to 4 goals that you have this upcoming quarter or at very long, 6 months. Write. Do not say, oh, I can't do this. Oh, that number is too high. I don't care. If the number sounds high, freaking write it down. All right. If there's something you want to build out that you're like, oh, I don't even know how to do that, how to get started, I don't care. Write it down. 3 to 4 goals. If you're saying you want to get shredded, you want to lose 50 pounds, you want to bench 315, whatever it is, I do not care. Okay, write it down. Just do a brain dump. 3 to 4 goals. And now we're going to come back to that in a moment and we'll get more clear on that. So here's a little bit of a sneak peek of inside of the the 90-day kind of roadmap or performance tracker that you're going to get access to. Okay, this is just a very quick snippet of it. This is an example, right? As you see on the far left side, there's kind of the life pillars: business, finances, health, relationships, mindset, growth. All right. And then as you can see, there's kind of a breakdown there of what would be some quarterly, planning, right? January, February, March. Okay. So you have January goals, February goals, March goals. You also have January, February, and March actions, right? The things that'll maybe make those things a little bit more, accessible and to help us, achieve those. So I'm just going to go through the January goal example, right? For your business, launch a new service. What's an action that's going to help us do that? Set up a marketing campaign. For finances, save $2,000. What's going to be able to help us accomplish that? Automating savings transfer. So every time you get your paycheck or maybe a client pays you, hey, 50% goes to, savings, 50% goes to, bills or debt or whatever it might be that you're, paying for, or just your checking account. For health, 4 gym sessions per week is your goal. So what is something I can do for that? Book those training slots, whether it's with a personal trainer to hold you accountable, with as a friend that you're going to go on certain days with, okay, to make sure that that gets done. Relationships, schedule 2 family events, okay. Now, January actions: confirm family dinner dates, okay, to help you be able to make sure you are getting those dates in. And then for your mindset and growth goals, meditate 15 minutes daily. January actions to help that is going to be use guided apps. So the app not only guides you through those meditations to make it a little bit easier, but 2, it'll also track when you get those sessions in, right? So it'll say, hey, you got a 7-day streak. Hey, you missed Thursday. This way we can hold ourselves accountable and get better week after week, right? So you obviously get the picture there. And this is what we're going to be able to map out, okay? But in more detail in a moment. Now, before we get into actually writing things down inside of your tracker, it's important to understand what I call strategic planning time frames. Okay, now the daily time frame, that is for our focus on our micro tasks, right? Smaller things that are building up to the bigger picture. Now, the elements that go into that are 3 priorities. So for me, inside of the inner circle, I call it, my members are checking in saying, these are the top 3 priorities for the day. These are the things that I am saying are the most important right now, are going to move me forward, and are based off of my top priorities. Okay, whether it's a quarterly project, whether it's a monthly thing that I'm behind, or whether it's something I'm prepping for in advance. Okay, so top 3 priorities for the day. And then there's also the supporting tasks. So today, one of my top priorities was recording this masterclass. Okay, but one of the supporting tasks that I needed to do was also to go ahead and work on the landing page for this so that I can get it up and running at the start of the month. All right. And then obviously some daily notes tracking, hey, what is working, what is not, what things are, holding me back, or whatnot. Okay. So an example entry of, those top 3 priorities would be, like I mentioned, for me, it was recording this quarterly planning masterclass. But one example could be write social media posts. 2 could be workout. 3 could be outlining marketing campaigns, right? And now some supporting tasks that would go around that would be maybe check in with some clients, would be maybe respond to some messages, okay? So even though I'm getting my priorities done, working out, creating an outline for my marketing campaign, I'm also making sure that the background stuff is being taken care of. All right. Now, after the daily time frame, we have, whoops, I just skipped something. Right after we have that, we have the weekly planner. Okay. Now, the focus for the weekly planning is our weekly focus goals. Now, where do we find these weekly focus goals? How do we understand what's going on for, our weekly plan? Well, an example for me is with me understanding that this quarter, I wanted to go ahead and release the quarterly planning masterclass. Prior to me being at this point of recording it was, let's just break this down. This isn't specific. I don't have it in front of me. Would be week 1 is create an outline for the quarterly planning masterclass. Everything that I want to put into it, kind of just a brain dump, right? And I'm spending a week going through that, Probably really needed less than a week for that. But then week 2 would be, hey, put all of this information into a presentation, right? Week 3 would be clean up the presentation, right? Maybe add some fun graphics. You guys see, kind of like the money bag here. You see some of the, the PL logo. You see some of the different colors that are changing on the slides, all of that stuff. Maybe removing some stuff, right? Because obviously my first brain dump, I'm putting everything that I'm thinking about on there. And then there's some stuff where I'm like, this is repetitive. The SMART goals, I almost took it out because I feel like that is the most common thing, but I decided to keep that in, right? And then week 3, week 4, it's, hey, finalize the presentation, build out the spreadsheet that you guys are getting access to, so that now when it is time to record this, you have full access to it. Another example of that is, what does the future of this masterclass look like? So once I'm done with this for this week, this is my top priority. What does next week look like? Well, I'm going to actually start recording some ads and some graphics for this to get able to send it out and market it more to bring in some more leads. And hey, maybe you're watching this video because you are one of those new leads, and I welcome you, and I hope you're enjoying this more. Okay, so when we think in terms of our weekly planner, we're thinking about more of those milestones that are keeping us on track. And then when we take that step back, right, going back to the slide we were just on, right, then we break those things down to the daily time frame of those more micro tasks that help us accomplish that bigger goal. Okay, so the planning elements that go into the weekly planner are priorities, meetings, task breakdowns, okay, and then obviously reflection, right? So for me, I do a Sunday reflection. I also sometimes do a Friday one. Kind of helps me just have it a little bit more fresh in my mind to say, all right, how did I close the week out? What are some things that I'm really happy that I got done? And now they're kind of on my mind while I relax and reset over the weekend. Some example entries like that are finalizing presentation, meetings, 3 sales calls. Well, if I put those priorities in, so say I had a sales call this morning, which I did not have, right? Let's say I had a sales call this morning. Well, when am I going to record this? Can I record this at the same time? No. So when I'm making my daily plan for today, I had to put this after that sales call if I had it. Okay, so hopefully that's making sense so far, but it'll make a little bit more sense coming up. Now, the next time frame is our monthly goals. Okay, so these are key milestones. All right, these are key, objectives, key milestones that are aligned with our yearly plan and our quarterly planning. Okay, so some elements that go into this are objectives, checkpoints, and then lessons learned. All right, some example entries for this, are objective. Increase revenue by 5K. Checkpoint, 5 client calls, right? So obviously 5 client calls, that might be 1 week having 2 calls, 1 week having none, and then the next 2 weeks having 1 or 2, kind of mixed in. Objective, increased revenue, okay? So now as you see, is if I have my increased revenue by 5K, well, what's going to go into my weekly plan? Hey, I want to book 2 calls. Hey, I want to, close 1 or 2 of these sales calls. Hey, I want to up my price. Hey, I need to accomplish, this automation that's going to allow me to book more calls to increase the revenue. Well, then what's going to happen on the daily time frame? Now I'm going to have to prioritize the automations. I'm going to have to jump on the sales calls. I'm going to have to prioritize these different things. All right, so I want to kind of pause here to let you know what I'm doing right now. What I am doing is I'm basically going in opposite order from what we are going to do. So we're talking about daily, we've talked about weekly, we've talked about monthly, and now we're going to talk about quarterly. But in a moment, I'm going to have you go through this process, and we're going to go backwards. We're going to start with quarterly, then we're going to go to the monthly breakdown, then we're going to go to the weekly planning, so that now jumping off of this, when you are done with this, whether it's a Friday, whether it's a Monday, whether it's a Wednesday, whether it's a Sunday when you're watching this, tomorrow you can immediately start taking action on this. Okay, so the final piece, the final, nugget here is strategic planning, quarterly projects. Okay, our focus when we are thinking about quarterly is our long-term vision. Where do I want to be 5 years from now? Where do I want to be 1 year from now? And then what is the absolute best thing that I can do right now to think about in this quarter to help me get aligned with that long-term vision? Because the main thing that people struggle with, and this is why quarterly planning is so important, is so often as entrepreneurs, business owners, we're forcing sales, we're feeling behind, we're putting out fires. And when we're in that head freight, mindset, when we're in that state of mind, we're not prioritizing the future, we're just prioritizing the current moment. And although we need to be there, we want to be there, we also need to make sure that, yes, we're prioritizing the current moment, but we're also thinking long term. Because if we're only in a scarcity mindset and we're thinking, hey, I need a sale now, hey, I need to do this now, we're not allowing ourselves to really build things that are going to give us a solid foundation for the long term. Okay, so that is why this is so important. Okay, so again, for quarterly planning, for quarterly projects, our focus is the long-term vision. Okay, staying aligned with where we truly want to go. All right, not getting distracted by the day-to-day. Now, the planning elements that go into this are, project names, goals, progress trackers, the resources needed. Okay, so maybe it's money, maybe it's people, maybe it's staff, whatever it might be, right? And then deadlines. Now, some example entries, would be, a project, rebrand website. A deadline would be, month 3, right? So by, let's say right now is January. Well, by the end of, March, start of April, I want to have this done, So now we have some more specific kind of things, listed out in there. Now, brace yourselves. We're getting ready to jump into the spreadsheet that I was talking about, right? Inside of the quarterly planning performance tracker. But before then, what we're going to do is kind of break down some of these metrics. All right. Now, obviously, I'm not going to pause this. I'm not going to stick around for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours while you go through this. So this will either be a time for you guys to pause, and walk through that. But I just want to make sure you have an understanding of what it is that you get inside of the spreadsheet. So we are going to open this up here. All right. And as you can see down at the bottom tab here, right, we have quarterly planning. Now, what you're going to do is we're going to take a step back. And as you can see, there's yearly, there's quarterly planning, there's monthly reflection, there's the example kind of checklist or, non-negotiable list or habit list, whatever you want to call it, that you'll get access to. All right. We want to start with yearly. Okay. And like I said to start, we are looking for 3 to 4. We're not looking for 5. We're not looking for 6. We are looking for 3 to 4 pivotal goals. Okay, so what you're going to do at this time, or if you are going to walk through this, is literally a step-by-step. You start on the yearly. You write down your top 3 to 4 goals. Lose 15 pounds. Bring on 15 clients. Whatever it might be, build out automations, automate the onboarding sequence, create build out new program, new course, new product, new ebook, whatever it might be. Okay, so write down those goals, and then under each goals, you're going to write down what are the action items that go into each of these, right? Well, so if I'm going to lose 15 pounds, I'm going to go for my first run of the year. That's probably the worst example I could have wrote there. But hey, maybe I'm going to throw out all the chips. Maybe I'm going to sign up for the gym. Maybe I'm going to hire a personal trainer. Maybe I'm going to budget money for a gym membership. Maybe I'm going to start working out 3 days a week. Maybe I'm going to buy some supplements that are going to support my journey. Whatever that is. If it's going to be bring on 20 clients and I'm at none, I'm going to build my program. I'm going to start posting content. I'm going to launch a free Facebook community so I could drive leads there. If you need help with any of that, send me an email, send me a message on Instagram. I'd be happy to help you. If you need more support on that, I don't know if you've ever checked out the Inner Circle, send me a message on that. We could jump on a call, whatever it is, but that'll be able to guide you a little bit more. But we're not here to, talk about that right now. So yearly, once you're done with that, you're going to go to your quarterly planning. And now what you're going to do is, okay, well, if my deadline is, let's say, in a year or, something that is 3 months away, maybe you 15 pounds is not a lot for you. Maybe that's easy. Maybe bringing on 20 clients is something you feel you could do in 6 months. You're going to come into here and you're going to do those steps backwards. Quarterly tasks and projects, right? And they don't go hand in hand. In here, you're going to write down all of the different things. And don't think you need to use all these boxes, and don't think you're limited to all these boxes. You could have more. You could use only 3 of these. So quarterly tasks, relaunch program, marketing campaign, host in-person event. Okay, I'm just writing down some things that go into here. Well, now monthly tasks, monthly projects. Well, what are things that are going to go into relaunching my program? What are things that are going to go into my marketing campaign? Create June. Don't you just hate when these are all different sizes? Don't you just hate it? 12, okay? Create June. I'm just making this up. Challenge. Monthly tasks. Monthly reflection. Schedule in-person event for June, let's say July, right? So there's probably some daily things that are going to go into here. So hopefully, don't you just hate when things are not all centered or the same? Okay, so hopefully you get the idea of this. Again, this is literally me. This is the only part I probably didn't plan out, so I apologize. But as you see, there's some different goals here, okay? So you could go ahead and make some of these goals, write them down here if you want to start, but obviously this is your number one. We have to start with quarterly tasks, quarterly projects, and then you could come in, depending on where you're watching this, whether it's Q2, whether it's Q3, Q4, now you could come in here and start changing some of these monthly goals. And then we could start to put some of these tasks and projects and daily tasks into our, monthly kind of spreadsheet, which I'm going to show here. Okay. So that is your start. As you can see at the top, the daily time frame. This is exactly what's in the slideshow to remind you what is the importance of your daily to-do list or your priority list. What is the importance of weekly planner? What stuff should go in there? And then our monthly goals. How do we kind of write those down? What are they? And then obviously our quarterly projects. Okay, our long-term vision. Now, here we have also a monthly reflection, right? The highlight last month was, what is one way I can challenge myself next month? I'll be really excited if by next month I blah, 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 whatever you do, okay? And then we have our example. We have our template if you ever want to copy this for month 4, month 5, month 6, if you like it, if you want to continue to use it. And then we have month 1, month 2, month 3. Okay, so you could right click, you could rename this, and you could call this June, July, December, whatever month your month 1 is. Okay, so obviously this would be the month that you're, watching this. What you're going to do, the final thing that I'm going to say here, because again, I'm not walking you with, I'm not waiting around for you to go ahead and complete this. You're going to come back to it. Is you're going to come in here and you're going to start by doing almost like your monthly to-do list, okay? So your monthly to-do list is like, what are those top projects? What are those top things that you're accomplishing? Okay, so career and business, relationship, finances, health, navigation is more so like the mindset, personal growth stuff, okay? Then you're going to come in here and you're going to put in, hey, what are your daily habits that are going to help you accomplish this? Okay, now, again, daily habits doesn't mean you're doing it every single day, but maybe you want to work out 5 days a week. Maybe you want to meditate 5 days a week. Maybe you want to read only on the weekends, okay? But these are the things that you're doing at least, I'd say, probably 4 to 5 days a week. Some things you might do every single day. You might follow your morning routine every single day. You might time block your upcoming day every single day. You might read 10 pages every single day. You might do 1 hour of deep work every single day, right? So for me, the weekends, I'm usually resetting, recharging, not working the same, but I also like to do at least an hour, of work sometime. And if you were going through a Project Life program, maybe you'd watch a video, but that's just kind of there. All right, and now when you check it, it'll also update, your progress to let you know if you're on track, and boom, I'm at 100%. checked it off. I'm feeling good. I'm making momentum, and you kind of get the gist. Okay. So we're going to slide from here back to the presentation. All right. That was just a quick, in-depth kind of video. Actually, not too in depth, but just a guided process of you kind of going through that process. All right. So what is the start? I'm thinking about what are my 3 to 4 top goals, right? What is your big non-negotiable this quarter? What would you be super, super ecstatic, proud, happy, about accomplishing this quarter, and then feeding off of that in terms of a visual layout. Month one, what do I need to do to be on track for this big goal, this big milestone, this big non-negotiable? Month two, what does that look like? And again, you can't really fill in month two or month three yet. You could start to put, a plan of obviously, hey, this is where I would like to be at. These are the things I need to have done. But we really can't fully complete month two and month three's plan until I see how month one goes, right? Because if we create the perfect 3 month plan and then month one you don't do anything, month two and month three we're going to be feeling beat up, we're going to be feeling behind, we're going to be feeling burnt out already. That's not the purpose of it. Month two and month three is, hey, based off of how month one went, this is now the new plan for month two and month three. And I hope that makes sense. Now, the most important factor, the same way that I started this masterclass by saying, hey, these are the key challenges or these are the main mistakes that people make, is we have to be able to identify risks and roadblocks. So for each of your goals, each of those 3 to 4 goals that you are prioritizing, I want you to list out 3 possible obstacles. Okay, so maybe you want to lose those 15 pounds. Well, what is a possible obstacle? Hey, the scale is not moving at all. Hey, maybe I actually gained weight. Hey, maybe you're going to struggle more than you thought giving up snacks or giving up late meals or giving up, whatever it is. Maybe you're struggling with meal planning. Maybe you thought it was going to be so easy. And then you're going to create a contingency plan for each of them, right? So I know I want to eat healthy, but damn, I'm struggling with this meal planning. What's a contingency plan? Hey, instead of doing it all on Sunday, maybe I'm going to have to invest some money into a meal prep company. So now I don't have to cook. Now I'm just going to have to spend some extra money on the healthier foods, or having it meal prep for me. Hey, I said I wanted to build out these automations. It's month one. I'm struggling. I've never used any of these softwares. I don't know the best software. What is a contingency plan? Maybe you have to reach out to somebody. Maybe you have to do some more further research. Maybe you have to have a call with somebody that helps you with those things. I'm not sure, right? Then maybe you're planning your personal non-negotiables, working out, good sleep, and maybe you just cannot stay disciplined. You cannot follow your schedule. You cannot follow your plan. Well, what's a contingency? Hey, maybe I need to look into, and this is real, right? I mean this. Maybe I need to look into the Project Life Inner Circle. Maybe I need to join Chris's 90-day program to be able to become a high-performance entrepreneur, to be able to accomplish everything that I'm setting out for, right? The community, the accountability, the weekly calls, the one-to-one support that comes with it. And that's just one possible thing. There's another thing. Maybe you need to reflect in the mirror. Maybe you need to, realign. Maybe you need to reset and really see and check your commitment. Hey, am I fully, bought into this process? Okay. So again, identifying risks and roadblocks that come along with these goals. Now, I always want to give people, a heads up. Where are we at? We have 3 slides left. This slide and 2 more. Okay, so we are just about at the end. I know you guys have been with me, for a little bit. We are approaching, where's the timer here? Approaching an hour, right? So we're probably going to finish right about the hour and 10 mark. All right, so I want to let you know we are near and, close to the end. Excuse me. Now, this is one of my favorite parts. Whether you're a solopreneur or whoever you might be building your business or an entrepreneur, whether you're new or have been in business for a while, is assigning resources. I feel like this is the main slide that really helps, and hopefully you've made it here. If you have, boom, 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 awesome. You should be pumped. You should be proud, and I hope you're enjoying this. This is the main slide that really helps you feel like damn, I'm in so much more control than maybe I feel. You do not need to do everything alone. Okay, so how do we assign these resources? How do we get support? How do we get some of our time and our energy back? Well, one is understanding how much time we're putting into this each week. Okay, so here's like an example kind of snippet, from one of my calendars. It's a little bit more of a outdated one, but also it's currently present, just kind of rearranged a little bit. Some different things have shifted, right? But how much time am I putting into the projects each week? How much time am I putting into calls each week? Are you building your business on the side of a full-time job? Are you building your business full-time right now? How is that schedule and that time being allocated? Whether it's, into systems, whether it's into content creation, whether it's into outreach, whether it's into check-ins, whether it's into client delivery, whether it's into calls, whether it's client calls, sales calls. What does that breakdown look like? Okay, again, this is going to give you clarity. The next step of that is people. Who is going to help you with your business? Is it going to be a virtual assistant that you pay virtually no money to? Is it going to be a tool or a software that's going to help you edit your content or put captions on your content? Or is it going to be somebody that you pay a commission to run your sales calls? Is it going to be an assistant coach because you're growing so much and you need some more help with your client calls? What does that look like? And then there's the budget. How much money do we have? Can we go with the best automation software? Can we go with the best assistant, coach that we're paying full time 3, 5, 7, 10K a month to help us with our business? Is that something we can afford right now, or do we have to think of other options, right? This allows us to know, damn, I could get this software that edits my content for $10 a month, $15 a month, $20 a month. Damn, I could pay this virtual assistant or this software that sends automated messages for $50 a month, $100 a month, $250 a month. Hey, I could bring on this coach that I'm paying $1,000 a month. All he does is, or she does, is take 2 to 3 of my calls a week, right? Whatever it might be. So this allows you to understand you are more than just a coach. You're more than just, an individual building a business. You are a business owner. You are the operator. You are the person in control. And when we can assign these resources, we feel like we are really, really, really running a business and growing something truly impactful and cool. All right. So that is that. Now, for our weekly action plan, and I just wanted to revisit this, is, one thing that we do inside of the inner circle, we have a Monday call. We have a Monday call and a Thursday call, but on the Monday call, we call it our Monday movement call. That is where we are assigning our weekly mission, right? We are getting dropped into our week. What is our top priority? What is the main thing that we are focused on, so that when we leave our week on Sunday or on Friday, whatever day that might be, I could say, damn, I got this done. Damn, I prioritized it and I made this happen. Every single week, every single day essentially, but mostly on a weekly basis, we want to be able to enter the new week seeing the momentum, seeing the growth, seeing the fruit of our labor, right? Seeing everything that is coming into life because we are truly showing up. Okay, so our weekly action plan is going to be our most important. Okay, understanding our priorities, understanding, hey, what am I doing this week to keep me aligned, but also understanding, hey, what is going to go into this week to also help me balance everything in my life, right? Every single life pillar, from relationships to business, to finances, and to, most importantly, you, the operator, in terms of your health, your sleep, your mindset, your energy. Okay, so the weekly planning is most importantly. What I like to do is, again, thinking about those non-negotiables for myself every day and thinking about, hey, what are my priorities from my week, right? I call them mission. What is my main mission for this week to keep me on track with everything that I'm after? Okay. Now, the final check-in, and please make sure this last line right here is book 3 review dates on your calendar right now. Okay, so if this is week 1 of the month that you're watching this, you're going to plan in, hey, every single Sunday or every single Friday or every single Saturday morning is a monthly review that you're going to run through this checklist, right? And it's going to be the same way we started. Do not overlook this. We need to know, am I on track? What needs to change? Where do I need to adapt? Where do I need to show up better? And how the heck do I need to be able to make this stuff work, right? We need to be able to think bigger. We need to be able to expand. And then again, that's our revenue and KPIs. That's our progress on our goals. That's what's worked last week, what didn't work last week, and what are our next steps to become the business owner, the entrepreneur, the business, the father, the brother, the parent, the son that you want to be. Okay? So this is arguably the most important. All right. Now, I want to kind of get, personal here, for a second. So just pulling this in. This is our quarterly planning masterclass. And I need you to understand no plan ever goes perfect. I always say this in my trainings or to one-on-one clients or inside of the inner circle. Every plan is going to get thrown off. You make the perfect schedule. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling good. Chris ran me through my quarterly planning. This is my first week. I'm fired up. Next thing you know, you start your workday and you catch yourself scrolling on social media. How do you adapt? Next thing you know, you got the perfect plan. You're working out. You're feeling good. You miss a workout. How do you adapt? Next thing you know, you got the perfect plan. You're feeling good. You made your first sale. The next 5 calls, people say no, they're not interested, too expensive, they don't want it, they don't need it, whatever it might be. How do you adapt? The next thing is you create that perfect plan, and next thing you know, you get punched in the face, smacked in the face, you get a call, something major just happened, and everything feels like it just shifted in an instance. How do you adapt? That's what it all comes down to. You are not going to plan your quarters perfect. You are not going to plan your months perfect. But without that plan, we have nothing to adjust to. We have nothing to keep us on track. We have nothing to remind us, hey, I need to get back and I need to get going with this again. So this wraps up our quarterly planning masterclass. All right. Whether you've seen a bunch of my stuff or whether you are brand new, I hope you've enjoyed this. Obviously, didn't turn this into a 5-hour training. Maybe we could do this as a live event where we're all actually planning. Let me know if that would be something you'd be interested in. But this is a quick run through, a quick document, a quick guide to be able to help you understand, again, the importance of why 90-day planning is so effective, 2, how to go about it, right? We ran through it kind of backwards, and then step by step how to do it, how to think about it in those different time frames from quarterly to monthly to weekly planner, but then also our daily action items to make sure we are staying aligned. So use the spreadsheet. Let me know how it goes, how I can improve, how I could better support you. And if you are trying to take it to the next level, book a call, right? I think you can find that on the instructions tab or send me a DM. Let me know if you're looking for more support on your journey. But other than that, I wish you all the best, and I know you'll continue to crush it. Stay blessed, keep pushing, and thank you for being a part of Project Life.